Okay, all right. So our training this afternoon is on electronic forms, and our plan is to, excuse me, to go through and create a new electronic form from scratch using PSA Web. We will be creating form fields on this form that we'll be able to populate with job information, as well as being able to manually add this information on demand as we're filling out the forms, including signatures as well. We will be formatting our final layout of our report for the customer, and then I'll be going through showing you how to attach that to a job. So that is our agenda, and we'll get started. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to open up PSA Web. So I'm logged into my training company here, and I've got a job that is open here for Sandy Sanderson. And I'm here looking at my job screen. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through, I'm just going to give you, before we get into the nitty gritty of actually creating a form, I just want to give some people that haven't been using the forms at all just an idea of how it's going to be added into a job, so you can get your kind of mind understanding the fields when we get into the design of it. So when forms are created in the system, we'll be able to attach them to your job by coming into opening up the job, going to the Attachments tab, and over on the right-hand side, there is a list of options that we can change our view. So we're going to go right over to the far right-hand side, and we're going to click on Forms. And this is going to give us a drop-down list of any forms that have already been designed in your current web database. So I'm going to drop that list out. And you can see here that we have several forms that are already in the system. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just open up one of these forms just to kind of show you the idea of how the form would be attached to a job. So I'm going to click on the work authorization form. I'm going to press the Add button. That form is now appearing here on my Forms tab. To open it, I'll slide my mouse over top of the name of the form at the bottom and open it up. So what appears here are different fields that have been designed for this particular form to pull in job information. So we can see here it's pulled in the owner's name, the claim number, insurance company, the work location. We have a spot here for loss description. So this information could be added in. Okay, so put information in. The fields above here are mostly all text fields. You'll see here this particular kind of a field is an expandable field. So if there's a lot of writing to be done, it can be expanded out to whatever size it needs to be. We have a couple of signature fields here. So again, we can put in the customer signature, and there's a spot there for a name. And we have a spot here for the contractor as well. And the contractor's name can be entered here. So that's the idea of the first part of attaching a form to a job. At the top, when you've finished filling this information in, we have a Save button and a Preview. So in order for any of the information that's pulled in from the job or that we've added here to be saved, we must click the Save to go forward and preview it. If you click Preview without it, there will be no information and each field will still be blank. So we're going to click Save. Okay. Now, the message that popped up across the top of the screen was telling us that it was saved, and also the fact that it knows that we put some signatures on that. So at this point, we can no longer come back into anything that's been signed and make any changes to any of the other information on here. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move forward to see what this form would look like for the customer. So I'm going to click the Print button, and that's going to take us to the final layout. Okay, so now this one here isn't, this is the work authorization form, so it would be, you'd have your logo, your header, and your form would be all laid out here. And there are the signatures that are on the document. So we get to our final form here. At this point, you could print this off. You could also send an email from here. We'll do that on the form that we're going to create together in the class. what we're going to do right now is we're just going to return back. We've looked at our form, and we're going to click the Back to List button. That'll return us to where we came from. We're going to click Back to List again, and we'll be right back to our job screen. So here we are back on the Forms view from the Attachments tab, and we have our form here. So that's how it's going to work within your jobs. Now we're going to create a form. So creating of the forms will happen from within the Settings menu. So we'll go over to Settings. We're going to go down to Company Settings. That properly. And within the Company Settings area, we're going to come to, under the General area, Edit Custom Forms. So any existing forms that you have will be listed here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new form with the Create button. Okay. The description field at the top is going to be the name of the form. In this session, I'm going to do a Certificate of Satisfaction form. And the next field down is the screen. So you want to ensure this is set to job if you're going to be attaching this to a job. The For Mobile App checkbox here, if you're planning on this form being used on the mobile app, you definitely want to put a check mark in this box. At the moment, there are different fields that are available on the mobile app. So everything that's available in the web to create a form is what we're going to be seeing here in the training session. And if you did check the For Mobile, it automatically will set up the fields that are available for you when you're doing the mobile app. So at this time, we can do in the web, we can do things like tables, pull in dates and update dates for the jobs, and those aren't available at this point on the mobile app, but that is in development as we speak. So down here at the bottom, we have the ability to add our first fields on. So we're going to click the Add button. And remember when we added that form onto the job that we had that list of fields. So this is what we're creating now. So we have a Certificate of Satisfaction. So what we want to do here is we would like to create the information. So why don't we start off by putting in the customer's name. Okay. And we're going to slide right across for this kind of a field. We're going to go past text. That's correct. And we're going to jump right over to the Fill From field. So this drop-down list here gives us all of the fields that we can add into our forms from the job info screen and other fields that are available in the job areas as well. So we've got, I'm going to type in customer, and you can see here it's filtered down and showing me, so we're going to be able to pull in the customer name. And we have a Save To box. So that in some cases, some of the fields can actually be updated with information that's populated and entered into your form. Okay. We want to put a label checkbox here if we want the description field to be showing on the form as they're filling it out. And it also will feed that description over onto the final report layout. The required checkbox will be used for any fields that have to be added, and you want to force that the person can't save the form unless they populate that field. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that because the customer name is a field that's required on our jobs anyways. So we've got our customer name. We're going to click the Add button again, and we're going to now pull in an address line for our job. So I want to point out one thing about the different addresses that we're able to pull in. We can pull in customer address, and we could also pull in job address. So I might just open up another tab at the top of my browser here. So I'm just going to go over to my job I have open here and just do a right mouse click and open this up just to point out this information as we're in the design. So having two tabs open is really a nice feature when you're being able to do the forms design. Okay, so here you can see that Sandy Sanderson has an address. So this 100 Queen Street is the job address. So when we're back on our forms and we put in job address, I just want to point out what the two different fields are. So you can see right below here that I'll just type in address. So we have address here and we have customer address. So make sure anything that's for the job specifically from the job info tab, you want to use the field name that doesn't have the word customer in front of it. And we'll do a label for that one. And then we can carry on here and pull in the rest of our job address fields. So if we wanted to put job city, I believe it is state. And we'll, again, we have a zip code or a postal code here, so we'll just do something like this. This particular field, I believe, is using the word postal. Okay, so we've got they're in alphabetical order. There we go. Okay. So for our American customers, if you're looking in here for zip code, you're going to be needing to look at it at postal code. Okay. All right. There we go. So we've got some address fields in here. All right. So now we're going to pull in some information on our information for our job, like the claim number. So let's say we want to have the claim number. And so each one of these fields can be added. So selecting these fields is pretty straightforward once you get the idea. And these are straightforward text fields. So now some of the other information, let's just say we're pulling in a phone number for a job and we wanted to have the home phone for the job. And if we did pull in, look up phone here, we can see again there's home phone, so that'll be for the job. And if we're going to take a look at the next field in this case where we've got to save to. If that field doesn't contain any data when the form is being filled out, it will come up blank. But if something is put into it, it can go back and update the job with the phone number. So why don't we use that feature on the phone number? Okay. Another field that may not have been captured, like when a job is added, you can't put the job in without an address, a city, and a state. But the postal code is something that could be missing, or the zip code. So what we'll do is we'll actually use that one too. That might be a good one if we are knowing that information when the form is being filled out. We can update the job with it. Okay, and I believe if we look at claim, so claim, this actually is a claim date, not the claim number. So it doesn't let us update the claim from here. Okay. Speaking of information to look up, let's go in now. Let's say we wanted to pull in the insurance company that is involved with this particular job for this certificate of satisfaction. So we're going to type a description of insurance company. We're going to go over to the fill from, and in this field here, we want to pull in the field. So we're going to go in to the fields that what they're labeled to pull in information that's added to the job from the relationships tab. And let me just pop back to the job so you can understand. So let's go to the relationships tab. So from here on the job, we have an employee. We could also have added in the insurance company here, and we may have added the adjuster on the job. So we're going to be able to pull any of this information in onto our forms. that are used, again, for these forms that are being used on the web. So I'm going to go back to my custom form. And the marketing position is identified in a couple of different ways, depending on whether you're using PSA Desktop as well as PSA Web, or whether you're just using PSA Web. And you can identify, and you'll need to know what the particular marketing position is for each of the fields. So in people that have a desktop, insurance companies are the first, always the first position. And within marketing position 1, we have the ability of pulling in the address for that company. You can see here the city, all their contact phone numbers, their email, their name, their address, you can see here. So all that contact information can be brought in for the insurance company. So we just want to get the insurance company name for our form. So we're going to go back up here and select marketing position 1. Okay. And again, if we want to see if that's available to update, if we typed in marketing position, you can see here I'm typing and it's not finding anything. So at this point, we're not able to go back, and we can't update that information from a form. Okay. So if you look in and you know what the field's called here and you don't locate it here, you'll know that you're not going to be able to update it. Okay. And we're going to want labels on both of these, so I'll update that. Okay. So now let's grab the adjuster's name as well. And we'll go over here. So an adjuster is put in as typically on a job as a contact. So again, you need to know what the marketing position is that the adjuster information is added in. And here I know that the adjuster information in my setup is marketing position 2 for adjusters. So I'm going to be putting marketing 2. And as soon as I tap a 2, you can see my filter, and I'm going to put name. Let's do contact. Okay, so marketing position contact 2, and we want to get the name here. And there it is. Okay. And we will, again, put a label on that one. So there is some of the information I'm pulling in, that kind of information. And let's go down here. Let's grab a couple of dates now. So we want to put in here so this was a certificate of satisfaction that we're doing. So let's pull in the let's see, actual start date, just so we have the information on our form. And we'll come over here, and if we just, again, type in part of our field, so this doesn't have the word date on it, but actual start is your date field. And again, if we were interested, again, that information should have been in the job already, but if not, you can see that it would be updated from the form if it was entered in there. And let's put in a completed date. And let's do the same thing here. Oops, right there at top. And I'm just going to click add a couple of times. And we've got a field date for certificate of satisfaction. Date. And I just realized here I didn't select my right type. So here in my drop down, we're getting into dates now. So we do want to change this to be date time. So that means when you fill out your form, a little date box will pop up, and let's just fix those ones as well. Okay. And over here. Okay, so certificate of satisfaction is not a date that's in the system at the moment. There it is there. Sorry, COC. And let's just see if we could do it right there. All right, so when that comes out, this is going to be the date. They can select the current date, and it will upload it onto the date on the job. All right, let's take a look now at some of the other options that we have here for types. So we've been looking at text. The text area is going to give us an expandable area. So let's just put comments box here, and that's going to be an expandable area when we're looking at our form. Put a label in there. And let's see what else we could show you here. We've got a checkbox. So maybe in a checkbox we want to put something like work completed. Okay. When you put an option like a checkbox, you need to provide the options that the people are going to be using to fill out the form. So in the validation expression column, this is where you're going to be able to go in and populate it with the options that will be available in the different types that you're choosing. So, sorry, with the checkbox, that's all it's going to need. Is I wanted that one to be a drop down. Sorry, so drop down. So, so let's put in. Work completed, dissatisfaction. No, sorry, I'm changing my mind here. Let's put a checkbox on that one and get a few more added. Okay, so that will be an example. So basically you're going to get this text that you have here, and you're going to have a checkbox below it. So it's a yes or no. Now what I want to do is provide an option for multiple choices. So if we were to say type of work completed, and in here we choose a drop down, we could put into the validation expression, say it was emergency services, so it's whatever you want to have in your list, separated by a comma. So put a comma and a space, and we could put repairs, etc., to whatever you want to have in your list here. Okay, and we'll go over and put a check mark on here. So that's the drop down. I also want to show you a radio button. So a radio button, for those of you that have done form design before, will give you like a little dot that you can choose. So an example of that kind of information that you might put into a form may be method of payment. And so if we put that, and let's go over here, and this is where we're again going to put our options of what's going to be available on the radio button selection. So an example here might be credit card, comma, let's just say cash, and I'm going to spell it the Canadian way, guys. Okay, all right. So that is an example of a few of those. Again, we've got table options that can be added. Let's go to a caption. So caption is where you want to have a kind of a blurb of text that you may want to fill into your form, often used right above where you're going to be putting a signature for the customer to sign. So it's just giving him a little bit of an understanding before he signs his form that what he's actually signing. So a lot of times you could paste text into here from another document. So if we go into here and just put I guess so just an example of a little bit of text there. Okay, and we're going to go over and put a label. Okay, all right. So again, we've added a lot of things here. Good little tip here would be to save as you're going through. If you do end up losing your internet connection ever during your work day. You don't want to have created 40 fields and then find out that you can't save. So so we get a blue banner across the top saying it's been saved. Okay, and let's not forget now to put a signature on. So let's just put here customer signature. It has been set up now inside of the forms that a date and time of the signature will automatically be generated, so you don't have to put another separate field manually for the date that it's being signed. It will generate that for you automatically. So let's go and pick a signature and go over here. Okay, so we've got a spot there for customer signature, and again we could add another one too for the name of, so the customer's printed name, if it's not legible, what they have signed. Okay, so that must be a straight text. Okay, so there is a good example here of a variety of the different fields that can be used. And at the very top of the screen, again, we've got the save that would just let us continue on. The save and preview takes us from this screen on into the final design. So if I click the save and preview now, that's going to take me on in to the next level. Oh, isn't that lovely? Okay, I guess we'll get rid of that one. And we're going to add a logo in here. That's one of the first things we're going to do. But let's take a look here. So this is what your form is going to look like. This is the design tool that you're going to be using to lay out and create your final form. So I think that picture that was in there was my testing to make sure that the logo was going to work on my new template. And must have been a good day. All right, so we have all the fields that we've just finished creating, all in order here on the screen. Okay, you can see the comments. We've got the signature at the bottom. So now what the task that's laying ahead is for us to create the form that's for the customer. So I'm going to give you just a bit of an overview of this screen to start with. So on the very left-hand side, we have a panel here of tools. So this is your tool bar allowing you to add additional items onto the form besides the fields that you already have. So we can add labels, we can add a picture, we can add lines, tables. You can get into more advanced things as well and do calculations and graphs and that kind of thing as well. Across the top, we've got our cut, copy, paste. So we've got an undo feature. We've got zooming options to zoom in, and we can preview the actual final form as well from here. Okay. If you are very advanced in your report writing skills, there's even scripts that you can add onto your forms that you can modify that there. And on the right-hand side is your properties panel. This area on the right is going to show you the options and details for the object that you're currently sitting on. So you can see my company name is currently showing here with boxes around it. So this here is the current object. And if you look over on the right-hand side, it says title label. If I were to take my mouse and just click onto one of these fields that we came in here, this first one, which is for customer name, I want you all to take a look over at the properties panel now on the right. It shows you the description that we created the label for, and it has LBL there right underneath or after the field name. That's telling me it's the label for the customer name. I'm going to click on the field below it, and I want you to take a note of the top field again. It now has customer name, but it has underscore VAL for value. So it's important to understand which one is the value and which one's the label when you're pulling things around and moving and adjusting them. So what I want to show you on this screen now is I want to show you how to bring a logo in. We're going to move a few things around and do a bit of formatting. Okay, so the box at the top that we want for our logo, I'm going to come over to my panel on the left and I'm going to click on my picture box. And I'm going to drag from there and drop it where I want. So I'm going to go, there's a top margin, or I could drop it into the page header. So if I only want it in the first page, I can put it there. So there's my box. Now, over on the right, it tells me what I am in, and everything that's below this is going to be the formatting and options you have, again, for the object you're on. So over on the right now, it has the word image, you can see here, and right now it says none, and there is an option here to, through little dots, will take you into a lookup. So if I click on that, and I go to my desktop, I have put a logo on there that I want to pull in. So there's my logo for PSA, and it's pulled it in. By default, images come in the size of the box that you created. If you want it to be expanded out automatically to the size of your logo, over on your properties panel, you're going to go down into your sizing here, and you're going to drop the list down, and you're going to choose a couple different options you can try. You can do, I'm going to do a zoom image. That's what it did there, or you could change that to auto size. So that auto sized the box. So you can choose the appropriate one for your logo that you've got. Okay. And again, we can, if we want to change this name, this should have come in. Again, I need to double check my template, but that, I think here this should be certificate of satisfaction that we were creating. So let's just put that name in. Okay. And we'll just move that over. So again, I'm just, watch my pointer. When I get my mouse over top of one of the boxes that's selected on an object, when the mouse changes to a two-headed arrow, it's a resizing tool to resize your text box. If you go to the corner, you can keep it proportionate. And if you just click in the middle of the box, it lets you pick it up and move it around. So your pointer becomes a four-headed arrow. Okay. And again, just moving things around, you just can drag and drop by selecting in the middle of the box and aligning it. You can resize these fields. If I resize a field over top that it touches one of the other fields, it becomes red. So anytime you see that, it just means that two boxes are touching and they're overlapping. Okay. So these can be all moved around. And I'm just going to move a few things here just to show you a couple of alignment tips. Okay, so if we've got things moved around and we wanted to take and align everything left or right, you can do that kind of thing by selecting the objects that you want to align. So take a look right now at the properties panel on the right, and you will see what your options are under action. So there are a few different things that are available there, but as soon as I select something different, remember the properties panel will change. So this time I'm going to actually select 3. So I just kind of dragged my mouse over top and selected 3 different boxes. And you can see I have all the options I need here for alignments. So I've got this one right here will align the lefts, which is what I want to do. And there they go. Okay. You can also do things like if you want to make your fields consistently the same size, again, just select all of them. And you can come here and you can choose the option to size them to the same width. So that automatically then resized them to the one that I had selected there. Okay. And again, just let's go down here. This is the caption field that we brought in. And this is the customer signature field. So again, you can take that and you can make it whatever size you need to. And as I mentioned, the date and time came in for you. So this is going to be the date and time that the customer signed it. And this will be the customer print. Okay. Now, obviously, you're going to spend a little bit of time making this look really pretty. So I have one already done that I will show you. So I'm just going to close this. So let's talk about how you close. In the top left-hand corner, you're going to click on the menu button, and you're going to get these options here. So save, we'll save it, save and close it, save and make a copy, or properties. So we're going to use the save and close to go back to the screen that we were on. And we're back here on the custom forms. Okay, so the one that we just did was certificate of satisfaction. The one that I had done earlier to show you one that's completely formatted is the one certificate of satisfaction MM. So I'm just going to show you that one. So this is the one that I had done earlier. And it has all of these fields on it. And I'm just going to hit the save and preview to show you what the final format could look like. So again, we've got our logo, our title, and I've aligned things here. One of the things that you notice that I did on mine is I did put an underline underneath each of the fields. So no matter how long the contents is, it just looks nice. So let me show you where that's found. Over on the Properties panel for the object I'm on, a lot of the formatting is down inside of the Appearance area. So we're going to click on the Appearance, and we're going to scroll. If you slide your mouse over top of the Properties panel and you use your scroll button on your mouse, that lets you move up and down easily. So within Appearance, we've got border colors. So there's the borders here. So this is the underline option that's highlighted on the far right. You can expand out the fonts, and you can set your font up what you want. There's bold, and there's text alignments as well to be left or right within the field. So you get everything that you need right inside of that Appearance area. Okay. All right. So I've got everything lined up here. Okay. So I'm going to go back out. Didn't make any changes here, so just back to list. And let's go do our job now. So back on the job, and I'm on the Attachments tab, and we're going to look at our forms, and we're going to bring in our Certificate of Satisfaction. So let's grab that one to add. Now I had previously done a form on here, which I did delete, but you'll notice that it put a -2 on the end. So whenever you do bring a second form into your job that had previously been there, it will automatically add a number on the end to make it a unique form. I'm going to open that up. And we have a spot up here. Again, I'm just going to put today's date in here. Just click Now. And we've got job number filling in. Okay, so the date of actual completion didn't come into this particular job. If we are doing the Certificate of Satisfaction today, could be today. I'm just going to put in tomorrow's date just so we have a different date on there. Pulled in the insurance company for the job, adjuster, reviewing this with the customer. It's an emergency service. Customer signing. Let's put this with Sandy. And now again, you can hit the clear here and you can do it again. Let me just put, okay. And then we'll put my name here. Okay, so we've got our form filled out. So this part is being done and signed. We're going to click the save, so it will be locked. And we're going to hit the print button. And everything is flowing through onto our form. The one that we did together, there was a couple of fields that we added there that I think you guys would like to probably see. So down at the bottom here, so we had, that was the checkbox, work completed to satisfaction. This is the drop-down list, so we added 3 options in here, so that's an example of a drop-down. This is the radio button, so we put an example of that method of payment, so you could choose only one of those. Same thing goes with the drop-down. You can only choose one option. So if you want to have multiple options that they can choose, you want to do it like a checkbox. Okay. All right. Now I'm not going to save this one here. And I'm going to go back. So we didn't fill out that particular one. On the other, I wanted to show you, if I go back to my dates, the certificate of completion is now showing that it's been uploaded. Okay, so these dates were filled in from the form being filled out. Okay, we have a work phone and a home fax. again, so that information will populate into the job accordingly. Okay. After a form has been signed, it also can be viewed in the future on the Attachments tab on the Documents. So anything that you see in the Documents here is a PDF. So this is saved now as a PDF, which could be used if you're attaching documents to log notes or to scheduled tasks. When there's an attach button and you can see any documents, so these will automatically be available there. We had talked about taking that form, if we were to even open it up, oops, click on the actual document, from the view. So this has opened up the PDF here, okay. Let me go back to forms. So this form that we did together, or that one that I made up for you, I want to just show you when you're viewing that final form here. I mentioned earlier that you can print, obviously, but you can also email. So let's just click Send Email. And from here, you can pick your customer. So if Sandy Sanderson is in there, I'm just going to pick my name that's in there. I'm set with my email address. And you can add additional emails, do additional searches and add. If this was being filled out and you were using an iPad or a tablet and doing this with a customer, you could be getting, if that person's email address isn't in the system yet, you could just type that in here so you can also manually type in email addresses here so that the customer could receive at this point in time an email with a PDF attached with that signed form. Okay. Okay. And then you would click the send, and that email would go off. Okay. All right. So when we're finished that, again, we're going to click the Back to List button, and it'll take us back to where we came from, and Back to List again gets us back to our job. Okay. Right, so that concludes the training that we are going to be covering, and I'm going to go take a look now at the question list, and I will see who has the first question. Okay, so Curtis is asking, saying he doesn't see any of the marketing position options in his fill from drop-down list. So as I had mentioned that there's different fields available, I'm going to go back in and open up the custom forms. And if I go back into the one that we were working, this one here, this is not set up for mobile. So the drop-down lists that are available if you're using the full web from your computer, from a tablet, or from an iPad. Once you select the for mobile, so I'll just show you even just on this one. If I drop the list down, you can see you have all of these fields, including the marketing. But once I flip it over and say I want to use this for mobile, you will see that the list changes. And the information that you're able to pull in, just so it's compatible to work at the current moment with the mobile apps, it's mostly the information that's available on the job information screen. So on the actual here, this information here is mostly available for the mobile app. Okay, and Curtis, does that answer your question?
Absolutely, that's perfect.
Okay, thank you. And let's go on to the next question. Okay, Jessica, can you show us how to get to the place to create a form that is saved and can be used for any job? Okay, so how to get there? Okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to the settings menu, Jessica, and we're going to go down to company settings. Now, if anyone is going to the settings menu and doesn't see company settings, it will mean that the roles that is assigned to your user login is not giving you permission. Okay, so if you have permission, you should see company settings, And then under General, you will see Edit Custom Forms. Okay, so from there you have the ability to open and edit an existing form or create a new one. Does that answer your question, Jessica? She may have me muted. Okay. All right, well, we'll go on to the next one. Oh, yeah, she answered yes. Great. Thanks, Jessica. Okay. Is there anyone else that has any questions from today's session? Again, I think Jessica might have asked one more question. Can I pull the form up for any job? And yes, absolutely. So you can go back to the jobs list. You can open up any new job, and you can go to attachments, and you click on forms, and you have that available with any different form. Okay. As far as switching any of the forms from working on the web to a mobile form, then from your, let me just bring up the forms again. So go back here to Edit Custom Forms. And if we wanted to take the Certificate of Satisfaction form, for example, and we decided, well, we'd like this to work on the mobile app, put a check mark in here. If you don't, remember this was created and designed with fields that aren't available for there. So if I click the Save button, it's going to very nicely tell me each one of the fields that I'm not going to be able to use. So I would have to then decide, okay, I need to go through and design the form a little bit differently so it's not going, because it can't save it with those fields. Okay. Okay. There is, again, we do training on designing of the custom forms, and some of the features that we might go through in individual training might be to go through and set up a template so that when you are creating a new form, it automatically comes in with your header and your logo. And there's also, sometimes you have fields that you want to use on the initial form that you don't want to have. So just kind of manipulating and working with that report design screen in a little bit more detail on working with the information that you're laying out. And setting up things like your default font and that kind of stuff on your templates is a nice little feature as well that we can do in a training session. Okay. If there's no other questions here in the chat window, if there is anyone, just put just the word question into and I can have you verbally ask the question to the group. No? Okay. All right. Then I will wind down the session then, and thank you all very much for attending our session, and have a great day. Bye for now.